She's already on her knees when the gates open. Hippodromium of Constantinople. Summer, noon heat. The sky is empty and hard. No clouds, no shade. Around her, stone benches rise like a wall of faces. 50,000 people are packed onto the seats. Some are standing, some are leaning forward. They are all focusing on the same thing. Born into an aristocratic blue family, 23-year-old Helena is currently kneeling by herself in the middle of the arena. Iron is used to bind her wrists in front of her. Her ankles are shackled so tight she cannot stand, cannot turn. If you're drawn to real history, where innocence is destroyed in silence, comment where you're viewing from and remain with me. She is forced into one position by the chain, low, vulnerable, and on display. She senses. The sand scorched her skin. Palms and knees. She has been here long. Sufficient for the agony to stop. It seems far away, as though it belongs to someone else. The noise around her never stops. People yell at one another, laugh, quarrel. They are not discussing races. There are no chariots on the. They're talking about her, guessing what will happen, betting on rumors about how long she will last, about the things she did to earn this. Helena is unaware of what they have been told. She was not given charges. She received no punishment. All she was told was to kneel and not move. Then the sound shifts. Metal grinds on stone behind her. A bulky gate opens. Voices cry in commands she cannot make out. There is the clatter of hooves on solid ground. Then there was a dull thud as those hooves struck the sand. The audience responds right away. The noise rises like a wave. Rough, eager, and ravenous. Helena bends as much as the chain permits. She cannot turn fully. She can only see out of the corner of her eye. Dust, movement, something huge and black. She then hears it breathe. Or of course, a bull. They have brought a bull into the arena and they are driving it toward her. This is not a random cruelty. This is not a simple execution. This is a staged moment, a message. And this is still not the worst part. The ball walks slowly, deliberate steps led by handlers using ropes and poles. It is not charging. It is not perplexed. It is calm. The handlers keep it just far enough away that Helena can't feel it yet. Only hear it. Only imagine it. Now the audience begins to chant. Not for her. For the moment they paid to see. Helena's breath comes in short bursts. Her shoulders shake. Her hands are trembling against the chains. Tries to think of anyone she knows in the stands. Friends, family, and anyone who shared meals with her. Watching? Do they avert their gaze? Are they leaning forward like everyone else? The ball moved in closer. She can hear the sound of its breathing more clearly now. The weight of it, the force in each exhale. She is yelled by someone in the stands. Not gently. Helena drops her head. She is unaware that this moment is not about taking her life. It is about murdering something else. Her name, her standing, whatever future she might have had. She does not realize that other people had previously died in this arena. This week, she does not aware that the men observing from the shaded imperial boxes above believe this is the safest way to rule a city. All she is aware of is this. Now the bull is behind her. Exhale. Her name is yelled by someone in the stands. Not gently. Helena drops her head. She does not know yet that this moment is not about killing her body. Although it hasn't touched her and no one is moving to stop it, it is close enough for her to feel its heat. This is not the moment when things went wrong. At this point, the system functioned precisely as intended. To understand why Helen is here, you have to grasp what this place really is. The Hippodromium was designed with entertaining in mind. 400 meters of track, stone seats for tens of thousands. An ornate imperial box, the Cathema, where the emperor and his court sat above everyone else. On race days, the arena was full of color. Chariots painted with emblems, drivers regarded like celebrities, and banners in shades of blue and green. But under the surface, something else was happening. Beneath the sand, there were corridors and chambers, storage rooms, holding cells, concealed passageways that allowed guards to move people in and out without the audience knowing. The hippodromium was not merely an arena. It was infrastructure, a position where the emperor might look down and see the entire city gathered in one space. Where individuals sat, what colors they wore, and how loudly they cheered were all indicators of loyalty. A site where compliance could be honored publicly and where there could be consequences for non-compliance. Just as publicly, what you are viewing transpired to Helena did not begin with her. It began with the factions. Byzantine Constantinople, people were not just citizens. They were blue or green. These were the teams at first that raced chariots, evolved into something far more, turned into street gangs, political parties, private religious pressure groups, security forces. If you were born into it, you anticipated living with the blue family and die blue. If you were green, the same. They had their own leaders, their own meeting halls, their own techniques of enforcing discipline. They could organize swiftly. They may fight in the streets. They may use a crowd as a weapon. The hippodromium was where this loyalty became obvious. Green was seated on one side and blue on the other. You donned your colors. You cheered for your team. You took advantage of the opportunity. If you stayed silent, people noticed. If you cheered at the wrong time, people noticed. The emperor noticed more than just chariots when he peered down from his box. He saw a map depicting his city's loyalties. He observed who may assist him, who might oppose, who might be persuaded or punished. The factions offered emperors a tremendous tool to prevent them from coming together, play them against one another, threaten the other, and promise favors to one side. This balance held for the most part. But when it shattered, the hippodromium became something else entirely. It broke in the year 532. Taxes had soared. Religious disputes had sharpened. Every district was simmering with resentment. Both the Greens and the Blues were furious. Not with each other, with Justinian, the emperor. They yelled the same word for once. Nikar. Success. Not win on the track. Victory over the man with the purple robes. On January 18th, the hippodromium was crowded. Chariots were ready. Drivers stood by. It didn't matter. The throng turned away from the starting gates and toward the imperial box. Tens of thousands of voices melded into one chant. Nicker, nicker. They requested that Justinian fire corrupt officials. Reduce taxes. They were audible to him. He simply did not respond as they had anticipated. Officials were initially dispatched to engage in negotiations. They were yelled down, forced to retreat. Justinian then made a decision. He ordered the gates sealed. Every exit, every passageway that went out of the arena, locked. People only became aware gradually. The chanting wavered at first. Then it stopped. Confusion spread. When some attempted to depart, they discovered that the path was blocked. The stands were filled with panic. They were imprisoned in a container with a monarch who had chosen to find the most straightforward solution to his predicament, not at a race. Whatever you imagine happened next, the truth was worse. Belisarius, Justinian's finest general, would go on to become well known for his campaigns against foreign foes. That day, his army's target was within the capital, inside the hippodromium. He arrived through a passage beneath the arena with 3,000 soldiers, strong infantry, shields, short swords, spears, no archers, no long distanciance weapons. What was going to happen would be up close. Across the arena floor, the troops formed a queue. Then they began to move up into the stands. The people trapped within had no weapons, no armor, no training. Most had come expecting races, a day out. Spectacle and noise, but not this sort. Some soldiers attempted to fight with their bare fists as they advanced. A few attempted to scale the walls. Some tried to break through the locked gates. They were unsuccessful. The men went methodically, row by row and section by section. They were not there to terrify. They were not there to injure. Their purpose was to murder. By nightfall, somewhere between 25 and 35,000 individuals were dead. That number would not fit in any cemetery. The hippodrome turned into a mass grave. The message was basic. Do not join against the emperor ever. That memory was taken home by the survivors. They informed their relatives. They told their children. However, there was more going on in the stands as the military started murdering the crowd. Officials were wading through the chaos with lists. They were looking for specific people, leaders, spokesmen, wealthy backers of resistance, and the families connected to them. A few of these individuals were dragged aside. Not killed, not yet. They were kept for something more definite, more personal, more obvious. The Hippodromium was designed to do more than just carry out the carnage. After the mass massacre, the arena was silent for a few days. Then it reopened. Races were not on the schedule. A different kind of performance was planned. 73 women had been retrieved alive from the stands during the mayhem. Wives and daughters of men who stood in the wrong location at the wrong time or talked too loudly. They had been confined beneath the arena, inadequate beds, no seclusion, insufficient food, and insufficient water. They were weak by the time they were raised. That was deliberate. There were just about 10,000 people there that day. However, those 10,000 had been selected. They were devoted. They were influential. They would replicate what they observed. The gates were used to march the women out. 4 days previously, many of them had witnessed the rioting from the best seats, wearing expensive apparel. They were now dressed roughly. Their faces were battered, their eyes were red from sleep deprivation, and their hair had been chopped short or shaved. They were paraded around the track in a line. Guards walked on either side. A herald revealed their identities and supposed misdeeds, promoting treason, encouraging rebellion. The audience was asked to react in the event of inappropriate obedience. They yelled derogatory remarks. They threw what they had. Dirt clouds and rotten food. Whatever could sting without leaving noticeable permanent marks. The women were compelled to complete the entire circuit of the track 400m. They were hauled back to their feet if they fell. They were not permitted to look away, to speak, or to cover their faces. They were finally taken to the arena's center and forced to kneel. They read their sentences: exile, property confiscation, and status loss. Although they were alive, the spectators did not recall them as such. They recalled them as illustrations. When power is questioned, this is what happens to women who are too close to the wrong men and who don't maintain their position. More than just land was lost by their families. They lost a future. You are witnessing Helena go through the same procedure. There is no blood involved in her punishment. It has to do with erasure. In Constantinople, the Nika Massa brought about a change. The Hippodromium did not revert to its previous status as a racecourse. It revealed how effective a single public venue could be for governing an entire populace. It became one of the primary venues for political punishment in the empire after that. A few of these penalties were swift. Blinding, for example. The Byzantines eliminated competitors without killing them by using blindness. If a man could not see, he could not lead armies. He was unable to read documents. He was unable to glance down at the people below while sitting comfortably in the imperial box, but he may stroll through the city as a warning. One of the most well-known cases is Romano Z4H, a former emperor, who people would recall when they saw him. After military loss and political treason, he was taken to the Hippodrome. The audience gathered to see what would be done. His offenses were read out. Not only failure, danger. Endangering the empire itself. Then his site was taken, not in a secret room. Not in secret, in front of people who realized that they might be the next to. They backed the wrong man. Because don't focus on every little detail. They do not need to. Everyone present knew what it meant to watch a man step into the arena in one direction and be guided out in another. Reduced yet still alive. Blinding was effective. The techniques created in the Hippodrome went one step further. Sometimes, chariots themselves became tools of punishment, not for winning races, for taking a life. A rebel or assassin might be hitched behind a chariot instead of seated inside it, arms shackled, legs secured. Then the horses would be driven around the track, not at full racing speed, slower, slow enough so that each movement's body jerk is visible to everyone in the stands. Slow enough for the punishment to last. People knew what sand and stone could do to a human body dragged across them. Surprising the audience was not the goal. It was to show exactly what occurred to people who challenged power. Information about these executions spread swiftly. To visualize it, you didn't need to see one. You only had to hear the way survivors talked about them carefully, quietly. These kinds of stories were told to Helena as she grew up. They were designed to keep her far away from politics. They didn't. Not all spectacles entailed blood. Many concentrated on public humiliation, particularly when a woman of status was the target. A martyr could result from execution. Humiliation broke people without giving them anything noble to cling to. The ritual dubbed the Parade of Shame followed a pattern. A noble woman might be accused of adultery or suspected of witchcraft or simply be tied to the wrong side. She would be arrested, held below the arena, and stripped of everything that identified her position. Her elaborate hairstyle taken off, her fine clothing replaced with something plain and grungy. Her jewelry removed. Then, rather than on a quiet afternoon, she would be taken onto the hippodrome. She would walk the track's circuit on a day when people were already gathering while her name and alleged offense were yelled. The crowd was encouraged to jeer, to taunt, to laugh, to point. She would kneel in the sand at the conclusion, just like the women following the NA riots. Rarely will she be executed. Instead, she may be sentenced to exile or confined to a monastery. The goal was not to end her life. Her identity was to be terminated. People would remember her as the focus of a public spectacle rather than as a noble woman after that day. Her name would become a shorthand for humiliation. The strong Empress Theodora, who was married to Justinian, had a thorough understanding of this system. She had grown up on the margins of the hippodrome's world. Not honorable, not revered. She utilized the arena against ladies who had previously offended her after she rose to power. They were sent away after being brought in, paraded, humiliated, and erased. Before they died physically, their social deaths were finished. All of this history is hanging in the air as Helena kneels in the sand. She is aware of the potential of this location. She has seen people led into the hippodromium and come out different or not at all. She knows there are passageways, chambers beneath her feet, storage rooms. She knows guys in fine clothing are observing from the shaded imperial boxes above. The bull behind her does not know any of that. It only knows the pressure of the handlers, ropes and their voices. Snorts, shifts its weight, steps closer. Helena can feel the vibration through the earth right now. Her breathing speeds faster. This is not an abstract lesson for her. In power, it is a direct personal. She thinks